Hello and welcome to another episode of Impact Doc Podcast. My name is Benita Ezumezu and I'll be your host for today. Today we're going to be having a very important conversation that focuses on Nigeria Next, a timely and important discussion about opportunity, innovation, and the role of young Nigerians in shaping the future of our country, Nigeria. We'll also explore how big donor organizations are evolving their strategies to support impact and what this means for leadership, civic inclusion, digital inclusion, and social change in Nigeria. With me on the show today is a very, very special guest who will share practical insights that inspire action from his work at the helm of philanthropy and funding social impact and development organizations for over 2 decades. I'll give my guest the honor of introducing himself to our audience.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for the generous things you said about me. I wasn't quite sure whether you were about talking of somebody else or Kole Shettima, but thank you for the generosity as well. So my name is Kole Shettima. I am with the MacArthur Foundation, where I've been in the organization for several years. So you don't want to know how many years, but let's take it at several years. And this is a job, I think, probably the best job that anyone can do, really. I think it's the best job that anybody can do. Because it's a job that, there are days that you go and you feel satisfied that you are doing something that is touching the lives of ordinary people and ordinary citizens.
Wow.
And it's a job that you do because it gives you that kind of satisfaction and feeling that you are making difference, you are making change in other people's lives, and therefore you feel fulfilled because of that one.
So, Dr. Shettima, we always start our conversation with this very important question.
Yes.
What is your social impact story? Take us through your career and your journey. Was there a specific spark or moment in your life that actually led you to working in social development? And why are you doing this and not something else?
For me, probably I can say that I've been in social impact probably throughout my life. Wow. Starting from my primary school, where I was very active in our community organization. I was a very active member of the town association, of the students association, of the youth association. And that was how I went to secondary school. The same experience. I went to the university. I was very active in so many things, and then started teaching at the university. And I was, of course, in many organizations, in student organizations, in women's organizations, in many other organizations as well. And then eventually, I went to do my master's degree. I did my PhD. And I started teaching. I taught in many universities, University of Maiduguri, which was where I got my first degree. I taught at University of Toronto, where I did my PhD. I was at Ohio University Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. And from there, then I moved back to Nigeria to take this important responsibility of being the head of the MacArthur Foundation. So I think that has been my journey in broad terms, what I've been done. And in all the places that I found myself, I have always been very active in community organizations. So even when I was at the University of Toronto as a student, I was very much involved with the community organizations of Nigerian organizations. So the advocacy for social change and doing something about our condition of situation have been in my DNA throughout my life.
Wow, that's very interesting. I like the fact that you said you started this from a very young age and all the way through the secondary school into the university and how you got involved with, organizations, community projects and all. That's actually very interesting. So Dr. Shettima, let's talk about your work and the impact at MacArthur Foundation. So MacArthur Foundation has actually been around for some time. So can you share some key insights or some key impacts of the foundation's investment in Nigerians' development? So what are some of the key learnings from the big bets on Nigeria? What was the big bet on Nigeria about?
So, you know, sometimes when people ask me this question, really some of the impactful work that we have done in the foundation, sometimes it's not the big story. It's not sometimes not the big story.
Yeah, I agree.
So, for example, I recall myself going to a school in Kaduna, and then I met this young girl in a primary school who got a loaf of bread because of the feeding program.
Okay.
And then she shared this loaf of bread into two, and then, you know, ate half of the bread, but then took half of the bread. So I asked her, you know, what are you going to do with the other half of the loaf of the bread?
Okay.
She said that, oh, she's going to take it to her siblings at home.
Wow.
So for me, I think that, so those are the small moments that gives you joy and happiness to see that, you know, people are coming to school because there is food that they can get, but the food that they are getting is not just for them, but they are also taking it to their home and other things as well. So in this big scheme of things, you know, it is not, that is a small thing, but it tells you the human dimension of it. We don't know what this girl will end up to be. You know, we don't know what she will be. We don't know where she will going to end and other things as well, you know. So for me, I think that sometimes the impact of the work of the foundation, sometimes it's not the big thing that happens, but the little thing that happens in the lives of ordinary people, on the life of, you know, what are we doing in order to change the condition of ordinary people. And that to me are some of the things that really makes me excited and very happy, and go to bed feeling that, look, you have done something that is likely to improve the quality of life of ordinary people as well, you know.
And I love the fact that you actually started from the grassroots. That's a very interesting conversation. So let's keep conversation on that Nigerian big bets, starting with corruption, citizen participation, accountability, and reforms. What are we in Nigeria? Are we there in Nigeria yet? And or are we making progress? And what insight can you share in closing the corruption gap in Nigeria? So that these young people who do not have access to informations or support can also, you know, get the same support.
Yeah, I think what is very interesting about this work around accountability and anti-corruption is that there are a number of studies that have been done, one by UNODC, and one of them which showed that actually, that if you look at the surveys that have been conducted, what they call corruption survey in Nigeria, increasingly, majority of Nigerians reject corruption. Majority of Nigerians reject corruption, that they don't want corruption. And majority of Nigerians, when they were asked to give bribery, they refused to give bribery.
Okay.
So what is important about that is that the change in norms, that people think that this is wrong, that this is something that we should fight, that we should accept as part of our own culture of what happens in the country and other things. So then you can see also the density of the ecosystem. If you look at the number of organizations that have sprung up over the last 10 years, so if you look at the ecosystem, whereby you see so many organizations that have now, you know, taken up this as a very, very important issue to them, and trying to fight against corruption as something which is bad, which is endemic, which is not good for the country, not good for them, not good for their homes and other things as well. And also importantly is, for me, is, you know, in this ecosystem conversation, how are we involving people who were not really part of this conversation before? So for example, faith communities. Because one of the things that we try to have a conversation with the faith communities, both Muslims and Christians, is that, look, what does our faith says about corruption? So if, for example, you are a good Christian, you know, what does it say? You know, what does the Holy Bible says about corruption? If you're a good Muslim, what does the Quran says about corruption? So how do we involve people who used to be outside of these conversations, who are not what you may call the mainstream civil society organizations, but these are people who are outside of this conversation? How do we draw them into these conversations and see that they see corruption Because, as a church leader or imam, whatever, you see your congregation members coming to you, complain to you every day. They don't have money for this, they don't have money for that. You are inundated with all kinds of requests and other things. But you know that if you get the system work, probably they don't have to come to you. Probably they can go to the hospital, they can go to the clinic, or whatever they want to do in order to provide those services instead of you becoming the one that is going to. So that one of the major, for me, thing that investment we have made is really trying to get, for example, people who are outside of the regular conversations. How do we get them into this conversation? We have also supported a lot of investigative journalism work in terms of trying to see how can we ask the media, because our constitution says that the media is the fourth realm of government.
Definitely.
So in that case, then it means that how can we empower the media so that they will be able to also take this issue as critical and very important. And one of the things that really I like about this work around the media is that we did not just do the media in Abuja and Lagos, which are the usual suspects, but we tried to look at also what corruption happens at the lower levels of government, at state levels. Because because Nigeria is 36 plus 7 plus, 36 plus 1 plus 1. Because there's FCT, there's federal government of Nigeria. And there are 36 governors all over the place. And all of these people are very critical and very important in the fight against corruption. So for us was, how do we also encourage that, we get this corruption conversation happening at the lower levels as well. And also importantly, how do we get our conversations in local languages? So the idea is not just to be speaking in English, but also how about other Nigerian languages? So we supported a lot of work around about 7 or 8 Nigerian languages that are also doing some work around this corruption and other things as well. So I think that it is this building of the ecosystem, this mass of people who are concerned about this, that to me is the strength of the work that we have done over the last 9 to 10 years.
Wow, that's very interesting. I like the fact that there's an intentional inclusion to include everybody, including interfaiths, based on the organization. That's very interesting to know. So deepening, we see that the foundation is deepening its work on the Nigerian strategy, and we see that there's a newly launched strategy, the Nigerian Next strategy, that MacArthur Foundation has just launched.
So what do you think, what does it mean on Nigeria Next? What do you think that means?
Okay, well, from our research, we would like to hear more from you. From that, we would like to hear more from you about what it means, because we see that, I think from what we've seen online, is that it's designed to foster digital inclusion, innovation, economic opportunity, civic participation, inclusion, government policies, of course, using media, investigative journalism for young people to support and empower young people in Nigeria. So can you share more on this new strategy? Okay,
so when we started this work, I think what we really wanted to do was to focus on the assets of the youth. And not
right.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. And not on the deficiencies of the youth. Because usually when you hear about youth conversations, they talk about drug addiction, they talk about 419, they talk about kidnapping, banditry, and all the negative things that they are doing. So we say, well, look, no, we don't want that kind of conversation, because we don't think that will take, we think that kind of conversation is going to take us backward. Now, those problems are not there, they are there. But what we want to do is to invest in the assets of the youth. So what are these assets? One, as you indicated, digital inclusion. Because the youth are digital natives. Because they were born in that context, they were born in that situation. And therefore, this is their world. This is their own world. And therefore, how do we ensure that this world that they have is a world in which they are included in terms of access, in terms of cost, in terms of content, in terms of, I think, affordability, and looking at rural communities, looking at urban settings. We are looking at people with disability, people who are blind, who may need special equipment to be able to participate. People who are albinos, who may need special equipment to be able to participate. But we're also thinking about the voice of Nigeria and Nigerians and Africans in the global conversation around AI governance issues. Because if you look at all the conversations around AI, really, we are left out of the conversations.
Definitely.
And we don't hear our own voice. What is our own views? What are we thinking about? So part of it is that how do we amplify, how do we advance the voices of Nigeria and Nigerians and Africans in this global conversation around AI? Because at the moment, there are very few companies actually in the world, maybe 4 or 5 companies who have dominated all this conversation around AI, and all of them probably are based in the US, and the rest of us are just followers into this conversation. So how do we ensure that our needs, our aspirations, our concerns are part of this digital conversation that is happening throughout the world and other things? But I think also in doing that, also, as I said, we have to look at the harm within the digital world as well. We know that, for example, challenges like trolling, the challenges like especially for women, how how women's images are being portrayed in those walls, and how women actually find it difficult to participate in this world because of the kind of images and other things that we see and other things. So I think that we are very concerned about what the harm is, what are the human rights violations that happening in this space that happens. So, and how do we ensure that this doesn't continue in other things as well. And of course, the second pillar of the work is around innovation and creativity. We are of the view that, given, if you look at the number of Nigerians who have, number of startups in Nigeria, vis-a-vis in the continent, we are far ahead of everybody in terms of the number of startups, and also we know that in these startups, I think it's very important for me to say that these startups that we're talking about is not just startups in terms of Pluto Wave and others, but also even organizations like yours, 10, 15 years ago, the ecosystem, what you people are working on did not exist. And many people have now gone ahead to establish their presence not only here in Nigeria, but also in the world. You find a number of Nigerian organizations that are started by young people that are all over the continent, all over the world, and they are making a lot of waves and other things. A number of these things are all just small startups that started in incubation centers like yours, have now become global institutions and other things. So that kind of innovation, but also creativity in terms of the cultural component of the work that young Nigerians are doing whether in terms of movies, in terms of films, productions, in terms of passion that they are doing. And these systems are actually providing a lot of jobs for our people in as well. So what we're interested in to see, how do we nurture that innovation and creativity of our young people? And then, of course, the third element of the work is around civic participation, as you said now. Of course, civic participation in terms of the voices that we mentioned before, the number of organizations that young people have been able to set up and see how they have grown, and their own voicing and concerns about what is happening to them around the world, but also how are they using digital media in order to change the narratives about themselves and how things are happening in other things as well. So Nigeria Next, I think we are very excited about it because we believe that this is very important contribution that we can make in the country because our youth, our youth population is probably about 60 to 70% of the population at that age. And therefore, it is in our own interest as a country to invest in their own energies, to invest in what they are good at. We are not saying that we should overlook what the other problems that youth face, but I think the investment should be in terms of what are they good at, and how can we multiply, quantify, and quantify, or whatever we need to do to mobilize those resources that they have and make this country a better place for everybody.
Well, that's actually very interesting. So I'm actually very interested in this topic, particularly because I'm a young person. And aside from the fact that I'm a young person, I like the fact that the foundation is focusing on, there's a shift from seeing young people as the problem to the people actually solving the problem. So now my question is, why is the foundation now focusing on young Nigerians? Why the shift to investing in young people from institutional reforms? Was there any, or are there any lessons from or impact from the big bets that's on Nigeria, or that informed the Nigerian Next strategy?
Yeah. So I think in some ways there are lessons that we have learned from the On Nigeria program that probably also influence our thinking.
Okay.
But one of the things is just the reality. If 60 to 70% of your population is in that age, then whatever you do is really about that age at the end of the day. So we think that is so critical and so important to focus on, by default, that is the demography that we're all dealing with. So the question is, how do we then support that demography to do better than what it is now? How can it quadruple? How can it increase its own impact and on the country, but not only the country, but throughout the world in terms of what can it do and other things now. But going back to the On Nigeria program also, I think that we have seen that in the On Nigeria program, the number of young people who are also actively involved in the accountability work was so significant. Many of the organizations that we are working with have involved so many young people, and they have come up with so many creative ideas about how they do those. In fact, some of them are children, actually. Because I remember we were doing some work with children in one of the primary schools, actually. This is a primary school here in Abuja. And I think there was a campaign rally at that time. I think it was one of the elections, maybe 2019 elections or something like that. And then the children saw all these politicians coming by the office, and they were driving by their school, and they ran to the principal, and they were telling them, look, we have to ask them for accountability, all those children. So these are children.
Wow.
These are children,
Wow.
So you can see that actually that, they are very enthusiastic about all these things. They knew that this is something that is important to them and their lives and other things. So I think that, given the fact that these people, even at that age, were very much involved in the work around accountability, for us, therefore, it is something that, we need to support and see that, we actually do this work with the youth as well.
So understandably, the foundation is, working around limiting the digital divide. And then to create more opportunities for young people, and then expand opportunities and skills. So from what we saw that a little bit of the contribution of that contributed rather to the Nigerian Next strategy was the story of a young girl who could not, access or go to school, but she had a phone and could access the internet, and she was able to do something for herself using the power of the media. So, which was one of the push for the night, of course. So, can you share more on the role of technology in the Nigerian Next strategy? How do you think technology can actually, enhance or advance this strategy?
Yeah. So, as I said, the reality that for these youth, they are digital natives. People like myself are migrants, who found ourselves at, when already the journey has started. So we are in a different world. But for them, they were born into this. This is what they grew up with and other things. So it has already become part of their life. And they have been using this one in different ways and manners. And I think that one of the good experiences of the NSAS movement was that, all these young people who came in, mobilized themselves, organized themselves, and did whatever they did, all people were looking for bank accounts and other things. They were working on blockchain technology. They were working on Bitcoin and other things. So, it's a different world altogether. They knew how to organize themselves without having to go through all the, the regular processes of doing things and other things. So I think that, so the technology is just already part of them in so many ways, and they are using them, as I said, in many, many ways. So whether in terms of like mobilizing their peers and other things, whether using Bitcoin in order to pass on money to suppliers, to people and other things, or using Bitcoin technology to do the same and other things, or whether people using skits, whether you are using animation to do all kinds of comedies about politics and politicians and other things, whether they are using the technology for the purpose of, learning new skills, getting jobs here in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, in other parts of the world, whether using the technology for the purpose of providing health services or education or agriculture. So they are already inventing these things. They are already working with those kind of things.
Yeah.
So for us, is that, look, let's meet them where they are, instead of taking them or drawing them from us and to do something else, because it doesn't make better. Because it's always better to meet people where they are and provide for them.
Yeah.
And I think that the other thing that we have to appreciate is that technologies are different for many different people. I mean, there are things that for us, in some communities, that may look very rudimentary, but in some communities, very, very sophisticated.
Yeah.
And therefore, if in that community, what they know is the Nokia 909, that's what they know, then you have to work with them.
Yeah.
That is their own technology. That's what they are using. So how do we do that one? On the other spectrum are the people who are using all the blockchain, Bitcoin, and all those kind of things. That is a different technology that they are using. But all of them are using innovations.
Yeah.
Because they are innovations in their own context. Because every innovation is context bound. Because what is innovation for some people may not necessarily be an innovation for other people, but for some people it's a revolutionary change in their own lives. And therefore, they are innovating in different ways. People are innovating in different ways. So how do we meet them at their own levels and support them to do the work that they are doing?
Wow, thank you. I like the fact that, I like how you share the point that there's a difference technology and understanding at different states, different levels, different communities, which is so true, actually, because we have some communities that they're still like backward, and you still have to meet them anyway, and I like that. And so, but right now, I think you've spoken a lot about the project, what you empower, what you support. So can you tell us more about the grant making, how the grant making works in Nigeria, how MacArthur grant making works? So especially for somebody hearing it for the first time, or organizations or individuals.
Well, first of all, let me say that grant making is not a science.
Okay.
It's arts. So when I say it's not a science, I mean that, look, it's not like something that is 2 + 2 is going to be 4. No, sometimes it will be 5, sometimes it will be 3. Who knows, even 7,
Wow.
or whatever the case may be, and other things, So we have to live with that reality. Okay. I'm saying that one because I know that, in doing the work that we are doing, we are bound to make some mistakes. We are bound to make a number of things that we are not supposed to do. There are people that we should support that we are not supporting. There are people that probably who deserve more than other people and other things. So for me, I think that's why I say it's an art. It's not a science. But what we do is try to learn from the work that we have been doing, and trying to say, okay, how do we go about it and doing it better in terms of the work that we are doing and other things. So usually, people write to us. They read the strategy somewhere, and then they write to us and say that, I want to do A, B, C, D, and E, F, G. We sit down in the office. We look at the request, does it fall in within any of the work that we are doing? If it falls in within the work, then we invite them for conversation, and then ask them to say, okay, this thing that you have asked for, can you tell us more about it so that we can have further conversation? If it works well, that is fine. And then, next step, we discuss it also with our colleagues. Some of them are in Chicago. We send it for external review because there are a number of people because there are some people that, we probably don't have enough knowledge about that. And therefore, we send it out for external review. The reviewers will tell us what do they think about this work and other things, and what we should consider differently and other things. Then we have to go and convince our managing director. Then our managing director, then we go to our president. Then from our president, we go to our board. So there are a number of processes that are involved. And each one of them, you have to try to depend whatever you are trying to recommend and other things as well. And I think that is, and whatever work we do, we are also value driven. We have to look at the values of the people that come to us. We are also being driven by our own values as well. And one of the most important values for us is gender equity and social inclusion. So we pay a lot of attention to disability, for example. We pay a lot of attention to people who are from different geographical areas that probably are not usually talked about and spoken to. We pay a lot of attention in terms of gender inclusion in our work that we do. We look at, people who are excluded in the work that we do and other things. And then, we look at our mirror in our face and say, well, maybe we have to look at doing better than other things, So we are always reflecting and seeing, what is it that we are doing right? What is it that we are not doing right? How can we do our work better? Are there people and communities that we are not really supporting? Should we do more than other things? But at the end of the day, we also appreciate the fact that we have limited resources that we have. So even if and when we know that we should support some people, there is also the reality that we don't have enough resources to support all the people that deserve it. Now, I think only about 8%, maybe 7% of people who really come to us that get funded. So it's a very hard job for me and my colleagues. Because, one thing that you don't want to do is to say no to people. You want to be saying yes to people so that, you can also go and sleep with your heart better feeling rather than saying no to people, which I think sometimes is not the best thing to do.
Personally, for me, I think the fact that the organization does a lot of reflection, I think that's what most emerging individuals or social impact organizations don't get to do often. So I think this is a very important lesson for us, and we believe that our audience will be able to take this back into their work. So now we're moving to speaking on social impact careers, leadership, and nation building. So you've been in the social impact space from a very young age, obviously, and then you've moved your way up the ranks. When you say up the ranks, at the top. So can you share from your experience some of the insights on why development and social change in Nigeria require local intelligence, leadership, and passion from young people in Nigeria?
Yeah. So I think that it's really very important for people to love what they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I think that I have survived at the MacArthur Foundation because I love what I do.
Wow.
And because this is something that I've been doing for a very long time. And therefore, the classical definition of philanthropy is love for humanity. So I think it is something that, you just have to have it.
Yeah.
I know that there are many people who are in this our work who are, you may call, professionals.
Yeah.
For them, is about 9 to 5 job. And they get their salary and then they do other things. And I don't in any way begrudge people who do that kind of work, and I think that is fine. But I think to get a satisfaction in this kind of work that you do, and to go to bed feeling that you have fulfilled, you have done something good, you just have to love what you are doing. That is so critical and so very important. So the passion that comes through it is so important in whatever you do in order to make this a difference in people's life. I think that we have to be persistent, and also we have to be optimistic. This our work is a very difficult work. Sometimes you feel like, oh no. Oh no, what the hell is happening, You feel like you're banging your head, there's no progress and other things. But you also have to be gracious to yourself and also to gracious to society and feel that, there are certain things that you need to remember to give you joy in the work that you do. So, for example, whenever I have those kinds of bad, difficult moments, I also try to remember some of my joyful moments of when I was very happy about certain things. So you have to be balancing all those challenges and the opportunity that you get to do the work that we do. So I think persistence is very important. Courage to do the right thing, even when sometimes it's very, very difficult to do those kind of things, is so critical and very important. And I think that individual commitment of doing what we need to do as young people is important. I think it's very important to us to appreciate, and including myself, that look, I was born 7 kilometers away from Niger Republic.
Wow.
When I landed in Canada, that was in January. So I don't know whether you know the weather of Canada in January. I mean, this is one of the worst times that you can ever be in Canada.
Wow.
So at that time, we 7 kilometers away from Niger, very, very hot, ending up in Canada in minus 20 degrees of weather. I mean, it's like hell. There's like big switches of other things as well.
Whoa.
So people have to realize that life is always about struggle. Life is always about trying to strive despite all the challenges and other things that we face. So I think that our young people, our youth, have to appreciate that there are very few people in the world who are born with silver spoons or whatever it is, But majority of people were people who were lucky because they got prepared for it. They got prepared for it because they did the hard work. They did not look for the shortcut methods of trying to be whatever you want to be the following day. It doesn't last too long. I mean, you may be successful momentarily, but it doesn't have the character to continue in the long run. So you have to do the difficult work. You have to go through the unfortunate difficulties. It's very unfortunate that in our society now, the people that we see as our role models are usually the people who have gone through the shortcut methods. They are the ones who are going through the flashy cars, flashy houses, and other things. And one of the things that I think we did with the On Nigeria program really is really also focusing on the entertainment industry.
Wow.
And because we said that, look, this thing that you people are showing all over the place, big houses, big cars, beautiful wives, however you define beauty, or beautiful husbands, or however you define beauty, it's not the reality. You are making something and encouraging young people to see that this is the real role model, that this is what they should do. But in reality, that is not what the world is. The majority of the world does not believe in those does not exist.
There's more to it.
So I think that we need to look at who are our role models in society.
Right.
Who are our role models in society? How do we see those ones? There is this very important book that I usually tell about to people. This is written by one colonial official, and he did a survey asking people who is a good person. Just who is a good person? If people ask people in the community who is a good person and other things. And interestingly, the good people that people mention, the first three are their teachers.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Because now if you say you're a teacher, you know that nobody talks about teachers as a good person.
Actually, nobody.
Yeah, because the teacher is not paid a salary for 6 months or 1 year. Even when the person is said in 1 year, maybe has been thrown out of the accommodation, doesn't have a car, doesn't have a building where to put them. So why would anybody think that the teacher is a good person? The person would probably point out to some big politician who have been throwing money left and right.
Giving them rice.
Exactly, and give them the rice and other things. They will see that the role model and other things as well. So I think that our own media, our own entertainment media and others industry also has to take a responsibility to portray to people that life is not this rosy, big bang kind of life. But it is a much more complicated life and other things as well. It's much, much more deeper than what they are trying to portray and what their model they are trying to show to people and other things. So I hope that our young people and our youth will appreciate the fact that there is really something in dignity of labor. That that's something that you can do, and that dignity of labor is what is going to keep you grounded and be what you are, so that wherever you go, you will come back and realize that you are actually from somewhere, and that's where you are. Somewhere is where you started your life, and that is very important for us our youth, our young people, to appreciate.
Wow, Dr. Shettima, that is very, very interesting. I mean, I like the fact that you said something about opportunity meeting preparedness. You must always be prepared, and then the opportunity will definitely come. Thank you so much. That was a very insightful contribution to that. So, but right now I'm going to be talking about you as a person, and you're a leading social impact voice. And I want to know, what's your view on Nigeria as a leading voice in the social impact space and in Nigeria? So in your view, what are your thoughts about Nigeria, about leadership, thought leadership and democracy, particularly in this new agenda, this Nigerians' new agenda? And is Nigeria worth it, especially with the idea of Nigeria Next strategy? Do you think Nigeria is worth it to be invested in?
Yes. Because this is a country of 230 million people.
Oh, okay.
And this is a country that I think that we should have some responsibility as a country, as a people, and also as black people as well. Because for the black race, if Nigeria doesn't make the difference, the black race will not make the difference. 1 out of every 5 black people are Nigerians. 1 out of every 4 black Africans are Nigerians. So Nigeria has a responsibility to live up to the expectation that we must provide leadership in this world, so that black people around the world in the continent will see that this is a place that they can be very proud of. So for me, I think that our effort in Nigeria Next is really trying to contribute toward that responsibility and leadership as a people, as black people, as a country, what we need to do in order to show that we can be better than where we find ourselves. And there is no doubt that this grand country can be much, much better than what it is now. Wow. And the reality also is, I also tells me, look, a lot of people talk about Japa and other things. At the end of the day, how many people are going to Japa in this country?
Right.
The majority of us will be here. Whatever we do, there's nowhere that it will. Even anyway,
really come back.
The reality now is that they are even also blocking all the doors anyway.
Actually,
whether it is Canada, whether it's the US, or whether it is the UK, wherever you see, the reality is that we are being blocked everywhere. So if it is just even for our own interest, self-interest, that we must stay here and fix what is happening, rather than just because I have an opportunity and therefore I can live. Then, because if you have 230 million people, I am sure whatever Japa that you do, not more than 2 million people are going to leave this country.
Definitely.
And the remainder of the 228 million people will be here. And therefore, it is our responsibility to do and make sure that happens. So when we defined the Nigeria Next, one of the things, I don't know whether you have paid attention, was about dignity. It's about dignity of the people. We must dignify the people. We must give them the skills in order to live a dignified life.
Oh, yes.
And we believe that given our own advantage in terms of the demography of the people that we have, Nigeria actually has the opportunity to take over the world in terms of the age of the people that we have, the knowledge that our people have, that they will be able to actually conquer the world even when they are here in Nigeria. The rest of the world is aging. The rest of the world is aging. They are even paying people to give birth so that they can have more population. We are fortunate to have that kind of population that we have. So the question is, what kind of investment can we make to take advantage of the global skill gap that is already there? because the global skill gap is so wide now. There are many countries, there are not many places people are looking for skilled people like the people here in Nigeria. And even look at our proximity to America, to Europe, we are much, much more closer than the Indians or the Chinese. So even to look at the time difference, we have a lot of advantage in terms of the time difference. And I'm sure that even in terms of our English language and other things, we have much, much better advantage than many other places in the world and other things as well. So I think for me, therefore, the Nigeria Next is a testament that Nigeria is next. So when I asked you the question, what do you understand by Nigeria Next? That's what I wanted you, whether you have figured out Nigeria Next means, is Nigeria the next biggest thing in the world to happen? Or Nigeria is the next China, or Nigeria is the next Japan or whatever, or what is your own interpretation of Nigeria Next and other things. So I think that for me, I think that Nigeria Next is a testament of our cautious optimism about the possibilities, about the potentials of the young people that are in this country, and the wonderful thing that they are doing already, and therefore how can we invest so that they can do more and more for this country, but for the world as well.
Well, thank you very much. I like the fact that you say Nigeria is ours to build, and then we have to remain to build it. Thank you very much. That was a very interesting contribution. So and now I will talk about the fact that you've spoken about social media and how young people can be proponents of change. And you, Dr. Shettima, you are actually a proponent of evidence-based change. From your conversations, from your experience and all. How do you think young Nigerians can now move from just posting on social media to actually using data to influence policy, not just at local levels, but also at different levels of government?
So I think that it's one of the things that I'm very interested in around what I call Gen Z active citizenship.
I like that, Gen Z active citizenship.
Yes, you young people who are shouting all over the place, Again, change doesn't happen. I know change happens, but it doesn't happen at the level of the
way they're thinking.
Yeah, so I think that we need to think about how do we translate the energy, the passion, the commitment that we see, and the anger. And this is it's an anger that I think is justified, and a justified anger that people have about the situation that they have found themselves. How do we ensure that this anger and this passion is translated into active citizenship? Active citizenship that involves not only in being on the social media, which is very important, which you can mobilize people, but also importantly, putting the boots on the ground and make sure that we drive the change that we want, and to ensure that we do what we need to do to become active citizens in this country, in influencing the policies that you are talking about, whether at our local levels, whether at our national levels or international levels. How do we translate our actions and other things? Because this is a country that, in so many ways is paradoxical that, there are many, many people who are upset, very angry about so many, many things. But we don't seem to have been able to turn this into moments where we can bring about real social change and other things as well. So, if you look at in Nepal, the Gen Zs are the one who brought the new president. And the new president, I don't know whether he's a comedian or whatever he was. I mean, he's one of those social media people. And I got in there, become a president. They elected the person and other things. And the Gen Z in this country can do the same.
Yes.
Because they have the votes. If they want to bring the change, they have the votes. So part of it is actually, who is also going to provide the leadership for these people. Because I think that it is very important. I know that, if you look at NSAS and others, people do not want to, they want a leaderless situation, so that nobody is like, okay, I'm the president or I'm the governor or whatever it is. They want a leaderless movement. But a leaderless movement is good, but it also can be bad. In the sense that, at some point in life, you need people that will take the energy and move the energy in certain directions. And I think that kind of energy, the people, who is the person who is going to tap in to this energy and the commitment of the young people and work with them in certain direction to bring about the change. I think that is critical and very important. And this can emerge within the Gen Z movement in themselves, because I'm sure there are people who are within the movement that can provide the kind of leadership that is necessary and that is required. Now, unfortunately, also in this country, there are moments that, youth and all the country will come together, but then, it fizzles out. So people will now think about their village, their ethnic groups, their religion, their whatever other things that they come. And sometimes these are also actively used by the political class in order to divide the youth, so that the youth will not be able to come together to see the big picture and see how can we translate this big picture. Because at the end of the day, wherever you come from in this country, whatever you worship and other things, you go to the market. And when you go to the market, the person who is going to sell you a soap or bar will not reduce their soap or bar because you look like this or you look like that, or you pray to the east or you pray to the west. The person will just going to collect the money from you, and then you have to pay and then move on forward like everybody else and other things. So most of us go to the same market, and we are going to suffer the same consequences. When they are selling petrol at whatever price they are selling,
we are all suffering.
We are all suffering. We are all paying for the same price and nothing. Nobody's going to reduce the price of oil because I look tall or the other one looks short or whatever size of the person is in our thing. So I think that, so for me is, how can we develop a minimum agenda? A minimum agenda that focuses on what really people are feeling and how that can provide the basis upon which these young people will translate their anguish, their passion, their commitment into something that will turn into good governance.
Wow, that's a very interesting contribution. Thank you, Dr. Shettima. So let's focus on what you talked about, local governments and how young people can support these Gen Zs, or let's use in the term young people. For decades, Dr. Shettima, our eyes have been fixed on Abuja. I think for a while. Now that, like you said, we're already seeing the real movement in the local government autonomy. So do you believe that the local government is the true frontier for Nigerians' real transformation?
Well, let me say that, it's in this country that somebody who have never been a councillor in their life will want to be president of the country. It doesn't happen.
Honestly.
It doesn't happen.
Actually.
You have to start somewhere.
Yes.
Before you grow. But people think, oh yeah, because he's my classmate, has become something, therefore I want to be like that. Or because, I'm older than this person, why will I be a councillor and the other person is going to be? It's only in our country, we want to jump without crawling. You can't be jumping without crawling. You have to crawl and grow. And you have to take the steps, and the step to steps. You fall down, you step in and other things, and then you grow up to be whatever you can be and other things. So I think that fundamentally, unfortunately, and I remember telling this story about my grandmother during Buhari's time. So she would call me, is still Buhari the president? I said, okay, hello. What the problem is? Our water is not working in the village. I said, we have a councillor. We have a councillor. We have a local government chairman. We have your House of Assembly member. You have your governor. Why are you looking up to Buhari to come and fix the water problem in your village and other things?
Right.
So I think this this mentality of centralization, which is also in some ways, experience of military rule, whereby, people like to obey orders and give orders from the center for all of us to follow and other things as well in other things. So I think that our political process must begin at the lower levels of governance, and that we, all of us, have to double into local politics
Right.
and local governance
Right.
before we can think that we are going to be president or whatever and other things. Because we have never been something. No, if you look at traditional institutions,
Yeah.
before you become any of these people who is now an emir must have gotten other titles
Oh.
before becoming
Really?
an emir or something. You don't just wake up one day and then they will appoint you an emir. It doesn't happen that way. You must have been one title or another title or another title, another title before you can be an appointed as an emir. You don't just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be an emir like that. No, it doesn't happen that way. So that process of grooming, of learning, and knowing the ropes is very important. It's like trying to become a professor. You don't become a professor just one day. No.
Yeah.
You are a graduate assistant. You are an
Yes.
assistant lecturer. You have lecturer 2, lecturer 1, senior lecturer, reader, before you become a professor.
Yeah.
So I think the same process has to be also with our own political system. And that's why I think that the local governance is so critical and so important, so that people can learn the rudimentary of governance at that local levels as well. But even just within our own town associations, within our own age grade groups and others, you have to participate in those kind of things. Learn how to, mediate conflicts. Learn how to relate with people and other things. These are basic social skills that you should have before thinking of becoming some big person somewhere. And then they give you the thing, and then you find that you are a disaster because you don't have the experience. And experience is not something that you can just buy overnight.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing that the political system needs to put in place to actually do a thorough step-by-step process for individuals that want to go into the political party. That's very important. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Shettima. So now I'm going to talk about you personally. I know you've given a lot of advice to young people when things are not going smoothly or when they have to stay motivated. So let's talk about you. Reflecting on your career journey, what is or was the most challenging leadership lesson you've learned in your career?
I don't know.
Would like to learn.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I've learned anything anywhere. I'm not sure that I really can say what is the most challenging.
Or one of the challenging.
Well, I guess for me, I think one of the challenges of leadership is really to learn that and appreciate the fact that, you know some things, but there are so many things that you don't know. You know some things.
Very true.
But there are so many things that you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think the humility to know that you don't know everything is so important.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us make mistake of thinking that we know it all. Nobody can talk to us about any things because we already have the answers. And for us only to find out that actually what we think are the answers are not necessarily the best answers that we have. And I think that the challenge to know that yes, this happens to all of us, and that we must understand and appreciate that we don't know many things. So I mean, I tell people, for example, that some of the grants that we make in the office are really grants that are suggested by our receptionist, because I don't know all the people and all the things that are happening. Yeah. She has her own world. She relates with certain people at certain levels. I relate with people at certain levels. And that she does, I don't do. And I'm sure I do certain things. So she knows certain things that I don't know. And she will tell us and say, but I think it's good to support A, B, C, D, and I say, who are these people? So you tell me, okay, these are how they are, and these people are, and are things. And 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 she's right in some of the things that she thinks are good to do and other things, because my own world is different. People I relate with are different. Her own world is different. The radio stations she listens to are different. The music she listens to are different. The one that I listen to are different. And we are in so many ways. So I think it is very important that in doing this work that we are doing, we must listen. We must listen to people, hear and listen. We must be open to other perspectives and views. We must be humble enough to know that, yes, we know many things, but we don't know everything. And there are other people who may bring some ideas. And always really to look for people who will complement your own skills. Because, I am good at certain things, but I am not good at other things. I think getting some people in my office who are better at certain things, helps me and helps the organization to be a better place.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Shettima. Okay, so finally, I want to ask this, which is a very important end of our conversation. So considering the realities of global funding, as we often see in international development, there are moments when funding is limited due to geopolitics and other challenges, or organizations fizzle out of funding. So what advice would you give to a civic leader or to civic leaders or impact change makers who are building institutions so that they can remain sustainable even when they fizzle out of funds?
Yeah. So, when we are doing the work on investigative journalism,
yes,
our mantra was there cannot be independent editorial without independent financial resources. You cannot be a media organization which has an editorial independence that you will want to say anything that you want to say if you are dependent on the owner of the media or on the governor of the states or something like that. So you must always be thinking about multiple income streams. Multiple income streams. And I tell people that, look, even if it is MacArthur, don't be dependent on MacArthur.
Okay.
Think about always multiple income streams.
Okay.
10 naira here, 20 naira here, 30 naira here, 40 naira here. That is the kind of portfolio.
Like a diversify.
You have to diversify
Yeah.
in the work that you do in order to ensure that you are not dependent on anybody for you to run your own organization. Now, I'm saying this, but I know that it is probably easier said than done. But I think that the goal for every civic leader is to think about that at the very starting point, that we are not going to be solely dependent on one source. We will diversify, multiply our sources of income.
Yeah.
But also important is efficiency in your own spending.
Yeah.
Efficiency in your own spending. Don't say that, because I have money, then I'm going to be like spending the money left, right, and center and others. No. Always look out as how can we do this work with fewer resources that you have? Because that is the way in which you are going to cut your cost and ensure that the organization is always conscious about the fact that, look, we can always improve on our own efficiency. Maybe some of the way we do some things, maybe we need to look at them and see whether we should reduce them. Maybe we have some vehicles or computers and other things. How can we maximize their own use to ensure that we just don't buy things because we want to buy them, but we want to ensure that we are very efficient in the resources that we have. So for me, it's really around multiplicity of income, diversification of your portfolio, which reduces your risk, And at the same time, part of that risk management is that you ensure that you are always paying attention to your cost.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Shettima. I mean, the importance of diversifying funds and income is very important for every social impact organization. And then efficient spending. That's a very important key takeaway from it. Thank you so much, Dr. Shettima, for sharing this powerful insights. It was a very good takeaway.
Thank you very much for inviting me as well.
Yeah, thank you. It has been an incredible and enriching conversation. And it's clear that nation building is not just an aspiration. It is a responsibility, especially for anyone committed to shaping Nigeria's future. And to our audience and listeners, thank you so much for staying with us to the very end of this episode. Like I always say, every conversation offers an opportunity to reflect and realign with your purpose. And if this is something you've heard and has sparked your interest, please don't sit on it. Take an action. Take the next step. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel so you never miss out on meaningful conversation and the opportunities that come with them. I remain your host, Benita Ezumezu, and it has been an absolute pleasure sharing insights on social impact, leadership, and nation building on this episode of the Impact Doc. Until the next episode, keep building, keep leading, and keep believing. Thank you.